1932. Adolf Hitler rose to power with his National Socialist Party. At the time, Germany was in crisis. It was weakened after World War I, and people felt humiliated. The subsequent economic depression that Germany went through added to a feeling of fear and anger. Hitler addressed to this angry crowd. He fed the anger and offered them a few to boost their self-confidence. He promised the people an undefeatable movement that would solve all problems in the nation. Hitler wanted power, but to gain power, he had to get the German people behind him. To persuade the people in doing this, he used propaganda. One of the most popular and effective methods of that time was movie propaganda, with as the best example, Triumph of the Will, written and directed by the talented German filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl. She made an extraordinary historic movie. A beautiful movie? Maybe so, if only it hadn't been used for the wrong cause. In 1932, public cinemas were relatively new. They were a very popular attraction. Hitler was smart enough to use this modern medium to his benefit. As the German government was funding these cinemas, tickets would only cost half a German Reichsmark, the equivalent of $0.25 US. Therefore, the cinema was affordable for all people. In return, Hitler was now in total control over the movies that were shown. He took the opportunity to put his propaganda machine to the task. Hitler ordered to produce a movie which would display the greatness, the power and the strength of the empire he was trying to build. Now you must realize that in those days, the early 30s, the whole concept of cinema was still fairly new. It was modern technology. The big screen was fascinating. The crowd loved the cinema. They cheered, they cried. Movies made a huge emotional impact. Movie stars were starting to come up and people loved them. The whole experience was overwhelmingly powerful. So there was a lot of emotion, there was a lot of power, and then there was Leni Riefenstahl. Leni Riefenstahl was a master of technique. She knew exactly how to maximize the impact of her shots. She wanted every single piece of the film to be huge and overwhelming, as big as possible, and even bigger. Her movie shows a never-ending stream of Hitler's supporters. The numbers went on and on and on. The Nazi military force seemed unending. This technique suggests a powerful mass society, which made its leader look like a god figure. In the movie, everyone loved Hitler. Even cats took their chance and hopped on the balcony just to get a glimpse of their Adolf Hitler. The movie made his National Socialist Party look so great and beautiful that it made spectators eager to join. Riefenstahl was very creative. Some of the techniques she used, she invented herself. For example, she never showed the end of the line. If there was a march, she began a shot in the front and ended it in the middle. This created the illusion that there was no end to it. Hitler's troops looked countless. But it wasn't just about the numbers. Let's have a look at the opening scene of Triumph of the Will. It starts with a shot of clouds, shot from an airplane, slowly descending. In those days, public aviation was still a far reach. Clouds were something mysterious. It was heaven, basically. Riefenstahl uses cinematic language for what you're about to see is going to be heavenly. It's going to be divine. By having the Nazi headquarters doom as a glorious building from out of the clouds, it was almost like a castle from a fairy tale. But instead of a princess hanging out of the window, there were swastikas, and lots of them. As the plane starts rotating, the camera keeps focusing on the building in the center of the shot. As if everything revolves around the Nazi headquarters. It is literally in the center of attention. Now, shooting from out an aircraft wasn't necessarily something new, but it had never been used before as a cinematographic tool. Riefenstahl uses several techniques to emphasize the emotion that she's trying to create. Some shooting angles contribute to the perception of greatness in the movie. The Nazi army was portrayed heroic. The frog view or low-angle shots made the warriors look superior, as the viewer was literally looking up to them. The angle makes them appear bigger and stronger than they actually are. Therefore, it portrays the strength and significance of each soldier. Lots of times, the camera looks up to the great leader in the same way. But there is also a POV shot from Hitler's shoulder to show his perspective. It gives the audience a glimpse of his world. A glorious look. He sees millions of people gathered. Hitler himself is placed above the mass, like a chosen one, to lead them into victory. The efforts of Riefenstahl's crew were unbelievable. It took them hours and hours of filming in the clouds to finally get the director the shot that she desired. For the low-angle shots, she had them dig holes in the ground for the tripod to get the angle she wanted. It took loads of time and effort to cinematographically portray the image of overwhelming greatness. But of course, it was sheer propaganda. In reality, during the late 1930s, the Nazis were a mess. There was a lot of conflict within the administration of the party. Some high-ranked party members, who openly doubted the course of the Nazi party, were assassinated. The Hindenburg disaster only added to this instability and almost even caused a civil war to break out. Hitler needed strong propaganda to convince the people of the greatness of his Nazi party. And the propaganda? It worked. The image was born. An invincible movement with a strong leader. Loads of Germans voted for the Nazis. The scary thing is that this could have happened to anyone, even you and me. Within the given context, of course. Once again, Germany was in crisis. People wanted Hitler's lies to be real. Would this work with the modern times? With the current media, you would expect that lies only turn against a political leader. But recently, a certain political leader spreads alternative facts. That really makes you think. Since Leni Riefenstahl's movies, lots of things have changed in the world around us. But the evolution of media doesn't mean that her techniques disappeared. We see it being used everywhere, all the time. For example, in commercials. To make a drink seem bigger than it actually is, you shoot it from a low angle. Or you get a POV shot to show how glorious your life would be if you'd buy the drink. Try. The funny thing is, it still works. If you use the proper cinematic language, people will still fall for your message. Of course, there's a big difference between selling a bottle of water and a Nazi fascist radical leader, but both share the same desire. They want to sell themselves to the world. And the techniques haven't changed much. Does this mean that we could still fall into the same trap as the Germans did in 1930? Well, I don't think so. But Leni Riefenstahl's techniques are still very much alive. It proves her talent. Riefenstahl was way ahead of her time. The tragic of her career was that her talent was wasted on the wrong cause.
Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling, tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Mercy. And maybe I seem a bit confused. Yeah, maybe, but I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. Scrambled eggs all over my face. What is a boy to do